What is the origin of life? Where did it come from? And how did it happen? The most popular theory for the origins of life and DNA is the RNA World Hypothesis. That is, that billions of years ago, there was no plants, animals, or bacteria, but rather just a bunch of chemicals sitting around in a pot. Well, how did DNA form then? Well, that would first be explained through RNA. RNA is suggested to be the first molecule of life, and it was formed spontaneously from simpler molecules in the environment. Think of RNA as a messenger. RNA can store specific genetic information in its sequence of nucleotides. This ability is essential for passing on genetic instructions from one generation to the next. And, well, over time with mutations, it can evolve into different things. However, for all of that to happen, RNA first needs to be formed. For RNA to be formed, it first needs a sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenic base. However, this process doesn't happen naturally and is mediated by a specific group of enzymes. However, I'm talking about a really specific group of enzymes. So let's just do the math. To create the simplest living bacteria, we need 350 enzymes total, which is pretty low compared to other bacteria. So each enzyme is formed up about of 10 specific amino acids, and there's 20 different amino acids total. We're basically just throwing in a bunch of different chemicals and amino acids and proteins and just stirring it up until we get life. This means that for life to form naturally, it would be 1 to 350 times 10 to the 20 power. So doing a little bit more math here, we can calculate that if you got 1 billion tries per second, it would still take you on average 10 trillion years to hit, while the Earth is only around 13.8 billion years. And that's just the math under generous circumstances. Realistically, we have to deal with harsh environments, low concentration of chemicals, and other chemicals getting mixed and ultimately ruining the formation. Basically, if you believe in chemical evolution, you basically just believe in miracles, because the math is not adding up. Well, there are two other popular theories, however, both of which are just saying that life came from another planet. The first theory is that there was some sort of bacteria or life on a comet or an asteroid and it struck into Earth. The other theory is that aliens came down to Earth, planted the life strategically for it to survive, and then just dipped. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but those are the leading theories. Well, for the sake of argument, let's just say the miracle happened, and now there's bacteria and one-cell organisms. Cool. Well, now we actually need to evolve through mutations. But what people really don't understand are mutations are for the most part deletions. This means that they're taking away DNA instead of adding it. This has a range of negative effects, ranging from reduced fitness to severe diseases. Let's just look at this study done. To their surprise, the researchers found that 75.9% of the synonymous mutations were significantly deletions, while 1.3 were significantly beneficial. And those odds are being a little generous. Other scientists estimate that the odds of having a beneficial mutation is around 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 10,000. So while beneficial mutations are more likely to be passed on, it just doesn't outweigh the vast amount of mutations deleting traits. As famous evolutionary scientist Alexei Konchevov once put it, why have we not died 100 times over? This could also be an argument for why in the early Bible people lived so much longer, like Noah living over 500 years. Okay, but what about the fossil records? Well, let's just look at it. So here's what horseshoe crab looked like 350 million years ago. And, well, here's what they look like today. Not much of a difference, right? I mean, sure, there might be some small changes, but that's just adaptation, not evolution. There's also a pretty big misconception on how old these fossils really are. While scientists say it takes 10,000 years or more for something to fossilize, that's not entirely true. Teddy bears placed under a waterfall in Yorkshire in as little as a few months were turned to stone. Now, I'm not saying that's how fast it takes everything to become fossilized, but I am saying that it can happen much faster in 10,000 years. Well, what about carbon dating though? Well, the problem with carbon dating is it's just not always accurate. In fact, they carbon dated the shells off live mollusk snails' back, and what they found was surprising. They dated these shells to be 1,000 to 27,000 years old. These snails live 2 to 5 years, so it's easy to see that the carbon dating is just wrong. And there are plenty other examples of this. Okay, but what about new species popping up today? Well, to answer that, we have to really ask ourselves, what is evolution? And how is it different from adaptation? Macroevolution is that everything came from the same one-cell organism, and over time, species turned into different species. Adaptation, however, is that species diversify over time with different traits, however, remain the same species. Just think of a forest of trees instead of one particular tree. I mean, we can selectively breed dogs into getting different traits like longer legs, longer hair. However, we can't breed a dog into a cat. While Noah didn't carry every single animal we have today on his boat, he carried founding species which over time diversified into different animals, however, that stayed within the same species. If you're skeptical about what I'm saying, the best part is you don't have to take my word for it. I encourage everyone to prove their own beliefs with their own research. While we don't know anything for certain, I believe the evidence points toward that we were designed by a creator. But what do you think?